Hello everyone. Welcome to the podcast, where we explore in an entirely new way. Join me as we dive into the fascinating world, where each video brings knowledge and unforgettable experiences. Let's jump into the story now. Marriage often brings with it the tension between personal freedom and commitment. For many, this delicate balance becomes a battleground where desires and expectations clash. Greg Thompson, a devoted husband and the successful CEO of Thompson Financial Services, is on the verge of unveiling a surprise getaway to Italy for his wife, Sarah, hoping to rekindle their romance. However, as he steps into the kitchen to greet her, an undercurrent of emotional distance lingers in the air, suggesting that not all is well in their relationship. The moment feels heavy. Sarah's gaze is elsewhere, reflecting a tumultuous inner struggle. Greg senses that beneath the surface of their seemingly perfect life, there are unresolved issues brewing, and his intuition is soon validated. What he perceives as a joyous occasion turns into an unexpected confrontation about their marriage, revealing Sarah's long-buried feelings of confinement. As they navigate this emotional terrain, Greg must confront the possibility that the foundation of their life together is crumbling. What began as a romantic getaway morphs into a pivotal turning point, forcing both Greg and Sarah to confront their deepest fears and desires. In this moment of honesty, they embark on a candid dialogue that will ultimately reshape their lives. Sarah's yearning for independence and her desire to explore her individuality clash with Greg's commitment to their marriage. The atmosphere thickens as Sarah proposes a radical solution, a 6-month separation during which they would have no contact. This shocking proposal sends Greg's world spiraling as he grapples with the implications of Sarah exploring relationships with other men. The conversation becomes a litmus test of their love, loyalty, and the vows they once exchanged, setting the stage for an emotional roller coaster that neither of them could have anticipated. As the tension rises, Greg's commitment to their marriage is tested in ways he never imagined, revealing a path of betrayal, self-discovery, and the harsh realities of love that could either bind them closer or tear them apart forever. Greg Thompson stepped into the kitchen, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingling with the faint scent of lavender from the candles Sarah lit earlier. It was a familiar setting, one that usually brought him comfort, but today, a thick tension hung in the air, making the space feel claustrophobic. He leaned against the counter, watching his wife as she stood by the sink, lost in thought, her hands absent-mindedly washing the dishes. "Hey, Sarah," he called out, trying to infuse warmth into his voice. "I have a surprise for you." She turned slightly, her eyes meeting his for a brief moment before drifting back to the sudsy water. "Oh? What is it?" Greg's heart raced with excitement as he prepared to reveal the getaway he had meticulously planned to Italy. But he noticed the way her lips barely curled into a smile, how her laughter felt absent, like a fading echo of their happier times. The joy he had anticipated felt muted. "Just something special. I thought we could use a break, you know. A little getaway just for us," he said, attempting to capture the spark of their earlier years. However, instead of the enthusiastic response he expected, Sarah's expression darkened. She sighed heavily, placing the dish down with a clatter. "Greg, can we talk?" His stomach dropped, sensing the seriousness of her tone. "Of course. What's on your mind?" As he watched her gather her thoughts, a knot formed in his chest. Sarah turned to face him, her arms crossed tightly, her vulnerability evident. "I just feel trapped, Greg. I've been feeling this way for a while now." The words hung between them, heavy and charged. Greg felt the ground shift beneath his feet as he struggled to process her confession. "Trapped? In what way?" he asked, his voice steadier than he felt. "In my roles, in our life," she replied, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I love you, but I need to explore who I am outside of being your wife and a mother. I want to find my individuality again." Her admission hit him like a physical blow. Greg's mind raced, memories of their wedding day flashing before him, promises exchanged in front of friends and family. They were supposed to be partners, navigating life together. How had they arrived at this crossroads? If you think the story is good, leave a comment with the number 1, and if not, please subscribe to the channel. If the video is helpful to you, don't forget to hit the like button. Are you saying you want to leave me? He asked, the words feeling foreign on his tongue. Sarah shook her head, a frown deepening on her face. No, not necessarily. But I need space. I think it might be best if we take a break, maybe a 6-month separation. The idea crashed into him like a wave, leaving him breathless. A complete separation? The thought of her dating other men sent a jolt of anxiety through his veins. You mean, no contact? You want to see other people? I need to figure things out for myself, she said softly, her voice trembling. I don't want to feel guilty about wanting to explore my options. Greg felt a mixture of anger and betrayal. How could she even consider this? And what about us? What about our vows? Sarah's face twisted with frustration. I'm not saying I don't love you. I just need time to discover who I am without the expectations of being a wife and a mother hanging over me. As they stood in the kitchen, the conversation took a turn, leading them into uncharted emotional territory. Greg's heart raced with fear, and he felt the distance growing between them. He struggled to find words, to bridge the gap that seemed to widen with each revelation. Their once solid foundation now felt shaky and uncertain, leaving him to grapple with the impending reality of their marriage unraveling. The air grew heavier as Sarah's proposal hung between them, a stark reminder of the chasm opening in their marriage. Greg's mind raced, grappling with the shock of her words. 6 months apart? The very idea felt like a dagger to his heart. I can't believe you would want that, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. It's not what I want, Greg. It's what I need, Sarah replied, her eyes pleading for understanding. I need to explore relationships, see who I am without you. Explore relationships? Greg echoed, incredulity rising in his throat. You're talking about dating other men while we're still married. How is that even fair? Sarah's brow furrowed, frustration etched across her face. It's not about fairness. It's about self-discovery. I want to figure out who I am and what I want from life. This marriage has made me lose sight of that. The weight of her confession pressed down on him. Greg felt his chest constricting as waves of betrayal crashed over him. How could she consider this an avenue for growth? And what about our vows? Our commitment? What do those mean to you if you can just walk away for 6 months? I'm not walking away from our marriage, she insisted, her voice rising slightly. I just need to step back and see if I can find my individuality. I need to understand what I want outside of being your wife and a mother. We're not children, Greg. We're adults. We should be able to navigate this maturely. Maturely. The word rang hollow in his ears. Greg felt like he was standing on the edge of a cliff, peering into an abyss. So you think it's okay to see other people? To be intimate with other men? He pressed, his voice strained. Yes. But it doesn't mean I don't love you. I'm not saying I want to replace you. I want to find myself again. Can't you see that? The tension in the room was palpable as silence enveloped them. Greg's heart raced as he tried to fathom the implications of Sarah's words. The thought of her with someone else was unbearable. What if you don't come back? He whispered, the vulnerability of his question cutting through the tension. I will come back, Greg. I just need to know that I can, she replied, her voice softer now, a hint of desperation in her eyes. The conversation shifted to logistics as Sarah began to outline her plans for the separation. She spoke of moving into a new apartment and taking classes to explore her interests. Each detail felt like a fresh wound, cutting deeper into Greg's heart. He listened in disbelief, struggling to process the reality of what was happening. What about the kids? He asked, his voice trembling. What do we tell them? How do we explain this? We'll figure that out together, Sarah said, but her confidence wavered. I don't want to hurt them. But I think it's better to be honest about what we're feeling. They'll understand eventually. Greg's head spun as he processed everything. The image of their family, the laughter, the love, began to shatter before his eyes. A knot of anxiety twisted in his stomach as he considered what this meant for their lives. Would they be able to mend the cracks in their marriage